Part 93. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 921. They don't think that with the blessings of gods like them, they can luckily avoid life and death crises, right? What blessings from God do you want? Now that it was confirmed, Mr. Chen immediately wanted to settle the matter. It's just a blessing from God, compared to dying, it couldn't be simpler. Xuanhuan turned around and looked at Xianxia with gentle eyes. Everything goes well. As soon as he said these 4 words, everyone's lips twitched, thinking that he was asking for something. It was that simple. Okay, Mr. Chen looked at everyone and saw that they all nodded, and immediately made a decision. When will the formation be set up? Xuanhuan asked. Chen Liadao said, it was originally scheduled for today, but these 2 candidates were not selected, so it was postponed to tomorrow. Xuanhuan understood that tomorrow was the deadline given by Zhekongtian people. Invite everyone here. God's blessings must be sincere. All God's blessings that fall on my wife will shine. If they are not sincere blessings, there will be no light. In order not to waste time, just one come alone. Xuanhuan reminded everyone that he would not give them a chance to fool Luo. The person who originally thought of fooling him felt a sense of shame after hearing Xuanhuan's words. Mr. Chen immediately said, okay, just come one by one, without wasting time. The implication is that he will urge everyone to use God's blessings sincerely. After all, come one by one, no one can be fooled if they want to. Xuanhuan walked back to the pavilion. We'll wait here. Mr. Chen immediately said to the people present, please come one by one, and I will inform the others. After saying that, Mr. Chen walked out of the yard. Those who haven't come here are cultivators and don't care much about other things. As soon as Mr. Chen left, the people present spontaneously lined up and walked into the pavilion one by one to extend God's blessing to Xianxia. Lights of different colors fell on Xianxia's body, and the power of God's blessing entered her sea of consciousness. Although Xianxia didn't know Xuanhuan's purpose of doing this, it was a good thing to get the power of so many blessings from gods for nothing, and she accepted it calmly. Xuanhuan's eyes looked at everyone. Being stared at by such a pair of eyes, they all felt a little nervous. Plus, they couldn't be fooled one by one, so they all consciously used God's blessing from the bottom of their hearts. The people present have not finished using God's blessing, and others who have not come have also arrived. Seeing the situation in the yard, I consciously lined up. Lao Chen is the last one. We have met your conditions, old Chen said. The implication is that you should not go back on your word. Xuanhuan glanced at Mr. Chen lightly. There is still one person left. Mr. Chen was stunned. He didn't expect that Xuanhuan actually counted the number of people and knew exactly how many there were. Suddenly he remembered that in the previous conversation, he himself said how many people there were here. He said to Xuanhuan, there is indeed one more person, but this person has been in seclusion for 10 years and has not come out. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed with a dark light. Then please come out. Mr. Chen's face darkened. All monks know one rule. You don't know it, right? This is an unwritten rule that no one is allowed to disturb the monks during their retreat, no matter what the reason. Xuanhuan was not displeased by what Mr. Chen said. If your life is about to die, why should you shut up? Everyone's expressions changed. What do you mean? Xuanhuan took a look at everyone's expressions and said, I have some knowledge in formations. Coincidentally, I know a few formations that require 2 people to serve as formation eyes. Without exception, they are very destructive. In other words, as long as the formation is activated, whoever survives really depends on luck. Xuanhuan kept half of what he said because he knew very well that even if he told the truth, they would not believe it. It would be better to leave room for imagination and make them more nervous. How can it be? Yes, they put a lot of effort into building this place, so how could they be willing to destroy it? Everyone was talking, And all in all, they didn't believe Jizhong's words. Jizhong was not in a hurry to explain anything. He just listened quietly to their noise. After a while, Mr. Chen shouted to stop everyone. "Why should we believe you?" Mr. Chen asked. "You don't have to believe it," Jizhong said confidently. The atmosphere became tense again. Compared with Jizhong and Yan Xiangluo's calmness, the people in Yunshangtian became restless. After a while, Chen Liadao said, "I'm going to invite someone. If they don't come..." Before Mr. Chen could finish his words, he was interrupted by Jizhong. "He will definitely come." At this time, Mr. Chen didn't want to ask him why he was so sure. Although this person who has been in seclusion for 10 years is a person who lives on their side, he is the most difficult person to offend among them. He came here thousands of years ago. Since he came here, he has been in retreat almost all the time. Each retreat lasts for a long time, at least 20 or 30 years, sometimes even more than 100 years. They all didn't understand why he came to Yunshangtian and still practiced hard. After all, although their longevity in Yunshangtian had increased, their cultivation had stopped. No matter how hard they practiced, they could not advance to the next level, unless they could go to the 9th level. Sky. During this period, there was not anyone who could not see it and interfered with his cultivation, but was beaten up by him. Although their cultivation levels were almost the same, there were differences between them. The two of them almost destroyed Yunshangtian. If not for the above, if people intervene, I'm afraid Yunshangtian will no longer exist. To be honest, Chen Lao really didn't want to provoke such a person because he had no choice but to do so, but now that the matter was imminent, they had no choice. I hope that person is still reasonable. Everyone watched Mr. Chen leave and felt very uneasy. They all remembered the great battle and wondered whether Mr. Chen could invite the person out. Even if he couldn't, it would be better not to offend that person. Something unexpected happened to them again. Mr. Chen went away and came back soon, followed by that person. They actually invited someone here, and this person hasn't lost his temper yet. I don't know if it was their imagination, but they felt that the aura on this person was stronger again. Jizhong and Yan Xiangluo looked over when Mr. Chen and others walked into the yard. No wonder these people's expressions change when they talk about this person. It can be seen from his eyes that this person is not a simple person. His eyes were calm and restrained, and he looked to be in his 40s or 50s, making him the youngest person they had seen since arriving at Yunshangtian. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 922. He was wearing a black, loose robe, and it was obvious at first glance that this robe had not been changed for a long time. I have also been in seclusion for 10 years. If the clothes are still intact, it proves that the material is very good, so there is no need to have any more requirements. Do you know the formation? The man walked to the pavilion and looked at Jizhong and Yang Xiang, then asked Jizhong with his eyes on Jizhong. No better. Jizhong stood up and looked at him. The man looked at him for a moment and then said, "Not bad." No one knew what he was saying to praise Jizhong, but they all understood that this man admired Jizhong very much. Since this man came to Yunshangtian thousands of years ago, it was the first time he saw someone he was kind to, and it was the first time he heard someone he admired. God's blessing is bestowed upon this girl. Jizhudian nodded, "Yes, God's blessing is bestowed on my wife." The man glanced at Jizhong and looked him up and down. He didn't say anything, but his eyes still expressed his inner thoughts. "That means you are not good at it? Otherwise, why would your wife still be a yellow-flowered girl?" Jizhong twitched the corner of his mouth, looked away, and ignored the man's meaning. Seeing his reaction, the man curled up his lips and smiled. He raised his hand and cast God's blessing. Among so many people, only his God's blessing shined the strongest and most powerfully. This also shows that he gave God's blessing from the bottom of his heart. Giving Yan Xiangloo also proves that his strength is very strong among the same level. For such a frank and unassuming person, Ji Zhong and Yan Xiangloo's impression of him instantly improved a lot. The man did not leave after casting God's blessing, but sat down opposite the two people. Mr. Chen's eyes were very complicated. When he went to call this person, he didn't hide anything. He told him what happened in detail, including that Ji Zhong asked him to call him. He didn't want to bear this person's anger, let alone talk to him. The idea of competition. But he didn't expect that after he finished speaking, this person actually came out of the retreat room without saying anything. He didn't get angry or say anything, and he admired Ji Zhong very much. Let me introduce myself. My surname is Jin and my given name is Kunpeng. I have a question for you too. Is it convenient? Jin Kunpeng did not ask them what their last names were, but introduced himself first and then directly explained his thoughts. Ji Zhong said, asking for advice is out of the question, but whatever we know, we will know everything and tell you everything. Jin Kunpeng laughed and said, it's refreshing. I've been here for 1,000 years and I finally met someone I like. I like your personality. If there is a chance in the future, we can make friends. Ji Zhong didn't pay much attention to Jin Kunpeng's words. Both of them had special fates in their past lives. Neither of them looked forward to friends very much. After all, in their previous lives, relatives and friends only represented betrayal. The two of them had almost no friends in this life. Yan Xiangloo was better off and had two friends in Xianhuan section. Ji Zhong had no friends in Tianqian continent. The two of them have limited friends when they come to Zhuyuan continent, one per person. Although they were not betrayed by their friends in this life, they have recovered their memories of their previous lives and keep a distance from anyone. The lessons learned from the past are too painful. We don't seem to have much time. If you want to know anything, just ask. Ji Zhong put aside the topic of making friends and went straight to the topic. Jin Kunpeng glanced at him and nodded, I don't have any other hobbies. I only pursue strength. I came here because the passage from Zhuyuan continent to Zhekongtian was blocked. If I want to continue to be strong, I must go to Zhekong God. This is the only place I know where I have the chance to go to the 9 heavens, but after coming here, I found that the truth is not what I knew. After saying this, he raised his hand and pointed at it, maybe they are all tricks. Ji Zhong and Yan Xiangloo suddenly felt a lot more comfortable. Among these people, there were finally some who were clear-sighted and kept their heads clear. But once you get here, you can't get out. Even if I want to leave here and go back to the mainland, I can't think of other ways. The only thing I can do is to practice without slacking off. But just now I heard what Mr. Chen said about why you came here. With every move, there is suddenly hope. Ji Zhong did not interrupt and listened to him quietly. As for the probing meaning in his words, he pretended he didn't understand. Jin Kunpeng is very measured. When Ji Zhong didn't talk to him, he knew that the other party didn't want to talk about it. He continued, since you are here, it means that people outside have not found a way to get to the 9 heavens. Before, I was just curious and came to take a look, but after seeing you, I have a feeling that there is really hope. Ji Zhong glanced at them without leaving. The people standing outside the pavilion listening to their conversation said, I hope it is not given by others, but that I have to fight for it. Jin Kunpeng laughed and said, yes, I agree with what you said. Seeing that Ji Zhong spoke very harshly and thought very quickly, he really didn't want to talk about this topic with him. He also knew that it was not suitable to continue this topic with so many people around, so he got back to the point and said, what I want to ask is, what do you think about the upcoming announcement? How much do we know about the formation? Did we take advantage of the opportunity to set up the formation and leave here? Ji Zhong was not surprised by his thoughts. A person who was determined to become stronger and never slacked off in cultivation even in a desperate situation showed that his perseverance was quite strong. At the same time, he was also a very decisive person. Since there is no chance here, I want to leave here, and I will not give up any opportunity to leave here. If it were him, he would do the same. But Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xianglou came here for a purpose, and they would not trust anyone until their purpose was accomplished. It was just a chance meeting, and they would not leave Jin Kunpeng unguarded just because they admired his character. I know a little about the formation, but I'm not sure whether I can take advantage of the opportunity to leave the formation. Ji Zhozhong actually knew it very well. All the people in Yunchangtian, as long as their lifespan exceeds the lifespan of the same level in Zhuyan continent, even if they have a chance to leave here, they will not be able to survive and will be wiped out immediately. However, the lifespan has not exceeded the highest lifespan of the 9th level peak of Zhuyan continent, so there is a chance to leave here. Ji Zhozhong could tell that among the people present, except for Jin Kunpeng, who was in front of him, who was 1,000 or several hundred years old, the lifespans of others had exceeded the maximum limit that Zhuyan continent could accommodate. Hence, he didn't say it out loud because he didn't want them all to lose hope. Once people fall into complete despair, it is difficult to guarantee that they will not do anything drastic. Jin Kunpeng raised his eyes and glanced at Ji Zhokong. I'll go with you to guard the battle, so that your wife can be safe. If you can get out, if you have information about going to Zhokongtian, just provide it to me. How about it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 923. Ji Zhozhong was stunned. He didn't expect him to make such a decision. After all, those people outside were very repulsive to joining the team, but he was actually willing to use it in exchange for information. This shows that Jin Kunpeng is an extremely smart person. My wife and I will not separate, but if there is really a chance to leave here, if we are destined to know other ways to get to Zhokongtian, we will tell you. Jin Kunpeng was a little surprised that Ji Zhozhong actually rejected his proposal to replace his wife as the formation keeper, and then it became clear, it seems that your wife's formation skills are not low. Ji Zhudian nodded, indeed. He was not arrogant when he said this. Regardless of his past and present life, Yan Xiangluo's talent in formations was indeed very strong. In this life, my father-in-law will teach him personally. The formations practiced by his father-in-law are still passed down from ancient times. Luoluo's formation attainments will only be stronger than those in the previous life, and will not be inferior to him. Okay, I will look for opportunities to support you when the time comes. Since he decided to make good friends with the couple, Jin Kunpeng would naturally not be stingy with his help. There is no point in cultivating strength in Yunchangtian because everyone is at this level of cultivation, but wisdom and brains are very important. The couple in front of them are not only talented, but also intelligent, and they seem to be quite capable. When his practice was interrupted, he was angry at first, but after hearing what happened from Mr. Chen, he keenly felt that this couple was not a simple couple, and this was an opportunity. Maybe he made the right bet and could really leave the clouds and go to the sky this time. Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangluo stood up and said to everyone, "We are going back to rest. I hope you can see us tomorrow morning." At this time, everyone remembered that the courtyard they chose to live in was the most special place here. They didn't know whether the couple would survive until tomorrow morning. If you can't live until tomorrow morning, then who of the two people who will be the eyes when setting up the formation tomorrow will go? But no one knows what to do now. After all, it hasn't happened yet. Even if it happens, they actually can't choose someone because no one wants to go. Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangluo walked to the yard where they lived. Jin Kunpeng also left when they left. He frowned when he saw the direction they were walking in, and then stood at the intersection and watched. It wasn't until he saw them walking into the yard that he realized what Ji Zhozhong meant by what he just said. But he didn't have the slightest worry in his heart. He didn't know if others could see it, but he could see that the real age of these two people was not very old. It could be said that they were older than the 9th level peak tribulation masters they knew. Too small. Moreover, he always felt that their faces were not real. Although he couldn't tell, his senses were very sensitive. Maybe the two of them were too skilled and could hide it from the eyes of people of the same level. In his opinion, those who are at their age and can surpass the level are considered geniuses. However, the cultivation of these two people is already at the same level as them. What does this mean? It means that genius is not enough to describe them. The connection with Xuanhuan continent has been cut off for thousands of years. Is it possible that there have been such big changes outside? It's true that heroes have emerged from youth since ancient times. Jin Kunpeng shook his head and went back to the yard where he lived. Anyway, everything would be settled tomorrow. He believed in his intuition. This was definitely an opportunity for him to leave Xianxia. Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xianglou returned to the yard. They talked for a while through sound transmission. Yan Xianglou told Ji Zhozhong the information obtained through mind reading. It is not surprising at all that those people think of dirty Ji Zhozhong. No one has stipulated that a powerful person must be a person with both ability and political integrity. The most important thing now is what secret is hidden in this yard? According to them, there is nothing wrong with the courtyard itself. It's just that newcomers can't see it. Only people who have lived here for more than 100 years can see it and live in it, and nothing will happen. But if a new arrival sees it and moves in, something will happen on the first night, and it can even lead to death. Although the two of them do not have the cultivation level of the previous life, their cultivation level at the 9th level of transcending tribulation is considered strong even in the 9th heaven. There is something strange in this yard. Their cultivation level plus the experience and knowledge of the previous life they couldn't even find out, which really made them curious. Listen to what they mean, something will happen here at night. Since we can't find any problems, it should be when things don't happen. There is no problem here. Let's rest first and wait until night to see, Ji Zhozhong said. Yan Xianglou nodded. The spiritual energy here is very strong, not much worse than the first training place. Ji Zhozhong raised his hand and grabbed a wisp of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy here has the breath of Zhekongtian. It should be that when this small world was built, there was a place connected to Zhekongtian. The breath of Zhekongtian came through this connected place. The continuous input, although not as rich as the spiritual energy of Zhezongtian, has formed the spiritual energy concentration here. Yan Xianglou sighed, we don't need to go over there to find out who wants your luck. We just need to take the opportunity to check who is in charge of Zhekongtian when we set up the formation tomorrow, so we can know who the other party is. Who? But what about these people in Yunshangtian? She knew very well that Yunshangtian was a small world created by the Xuanhuan heavenly beings. If she wanted to use the formation of the small world to extract Ji Xuanhuan Tianyuan, she would inevitably destroy this small world, and the lifespan here exceeded the highest in the Xuanhuan continent. Xuanhuan, if the small world is destroyed, they will definitely die. Ji Zhozhong said, they have already gained so much longevity. What's more, this was their own choice at the time. Everything has a price. We didn't do things, and we don't need to bear the cause and effect. Ji Zhekong understood that Yan Xianglou was kind in his heart. They could go to other higher continents and return to Zhekongtian through their passage to Zhekongtian. In addition, Luoluo had the space with him, so it was not impossible to take them with him. But this is against the rules of heaven. Furthermore, they don't know whether people like Yunshangtian who they brought to Zhekongtian will be able to advance smoothly or be wiped out as soon as they appear. If they are wiped out as soon as they appear, then the cause and effect of these people will be carried on both of them. The most important point is that these people have lived here for too long. In such an environment, their mentality has changed a lot. They are not the thinking of normal people. When they go back to Zhekongtian, they not only shoulder the important task of exterminating demons and former opponents. The cultivation of these people can no longer be restrained by oaths. Without binding force, how can we guarantee that these people will not betray them? The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 924. Yan Xiangloo just said casually, not really having a bodhisattva heart and wanting to help these people, I didn't want to take them away, I'm talking about Jin Kunpeng. Mentioning Jin Kunpeng, Ji Zhongfen narrowed his eyes, now it seems that he is a person with a firm mind and a moral bottom line. If Yunshangtian is destroyed, he can successfully leave and return to Zhuyuan continent and take him to other continents with him. It's not impossible for him to go to the 9 heavens on his own strength. When they go to other continents, they also have to ascend to the 9 heavens through the passage to the 9 heavens. They have to do this by themselves, and they are no exception. Yan Xiangloo thought the same way. Although he was not sure whether Jin Kunpeng was on their side after going to the 9 heavens, he was certain that with his character, at least he would not be their enemy. Yan Xiangloo walked to the table and sat down, resting her chin on her hands and looking at Ji Zhong. What are your plans for tomorrow's formation? Since Ji Zhong agreed to be the leader of the formation, she must have already made a plan, and she had already guessed it, so she still had to communicate with him first. Just follow the plan. Ji Zhong sat down next to her. Is it okay if I do some tricks? Yan Xiangloo now felt that her ability was an excellent means of long-distance sneak attacks, and it would be a pity not to use it. Ji Zhong knew what she was talking about and said with a smile, it's such a coincidence, I also want to do some tricks. The two looked at each other and smiled, both knowing what they wanted to do. No matter what, safety comes first. Ji Zhong reminded Yu Xiangloo that this girl was fine in this life, at least she cherished her life, but in her previous life, she would not have risked her life if she couldn't do what she wanted to do. Yan Xiangloo rolled her eyes at him, a new life is not in vain. Ji Zhong felt relieved knowing that she knew what was going on. The formation is aimed at you. If you want to extract your destiny, there must be something you have used to collect your breath. We don't know what they have from you. After the formation is successfully set up, they will not wait and will start immediately. Formation. And you are the eye of the formation. If you notice anything is wrong, go into Pangu space and let me handle the rest. Yu Xiangloo also reminded Ji Zhong. This is what she is most worried about. Ji Zhong is the eye of the formation. If the opponent notices it and changes the formation, it can be said that Ji Zhong is a wolf in the tiger's mouth. Ji Zhong knew that she was worried that she would be discovered and unable to escape. Don't worry, I know everything about this situation. He knew that in order to extract his destiny, he had to extract his breath from the objects he commonly used. It was impossible for outsiders to get his things in this life. What he wanted to prove was that it was him in this life. Is your destiny destiny, or was it already the same destiny in your previous life? If this was the case in the last life, luck can explain why their life was so rough in the last life. With everything they had experienced in the previous life, if they were not extremely lucky, they would not have been able to survive any of the disasters. The most important thing is that his rebirth in this life was arranged by himself in his previous life. He had no idea that there would be people with destiny among the descendants of the Ji family in Zhuyuan continent. The fate of the Ji family changed after they made an agreement with him. Although it is very risky for him to enter the formation personally, there are also many benefits to doing so. He can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so the risk is worth it. He is so calculating. After the two discussed it, they meditated and started practicing. It would be a waste not to absorb such rich spiritual energy. In fact, they have been absorbing the spiritual energy here since they arrived at Yunshangtian. Yan Xiangloo can do 3 things at once. Although Ji Zhong developed this skill later, he can also do 2 things at once. Time passed little by little, and when evening came, the two of them also quit practicing. Yan Xianglou took out some food, and the two of them sat at the table and ate while sensing everything in the room in the courtyard. Even if there was the slightest change, they could sense it immediately. But there was no change at all in the first half of the night, nothing happened. The more this happened, the less likely the two of them would let down their guard. At midnight, there was finally a slight change in the atmosphere in the yard. The two of them felt it at the same time. After looking at each other, Yan Xianglou immediately put away all the food on the table. The two of them came to the door and looked out through the crack in the door. Ji Zhong suddenly said, "Hurry up and enter Pangu space." Yan Xianglou was shocked and pulled Ji Zhong into the Pangu space. Entering Pangu space, Xianglou stretched out her hand and patted her heart. "It's so suspenseful, who is so sinister?" Ji Zhong's phoenix eyes were fixed on the outside. At this time, a black gas sprang out from the ground in the center of the yard, swam like a small snake, came to the door of the room, and got in through the gap in the door. Then they circled back and forth where they had just stayed, as if looking for something. Yan Xianglou saw the black aura and said to Ji Zhong with lingering fear, "Why are there abyssal insects here?" Abyss-wandering insects are extremely sinister insects that are cultivated by the evil dampness under the vast abyss of Zhongtian. This kind of insect is in the shape of an insect when it is first cultivated, but after a long time of being cultivated by the evil dampness under the abyss it can be vaporized. Once it can be vaporized, the abyss-wandering insect can leave the abyss. It makes a living by sucking the life breath from people with pure souls. Abyssal worms have a unique ability to tell whether a person's soul is pure. There is indeed nothing wrong with this courtyard. The only problem is that there is an abyssal worm below. The reason why some people who have just arrived can see sitting in the courtyard while others can't is because the abyssal wandering insects are causing trouble. Although the abyssal worm has no combat effectiveness, it can cause hallucinations in people, and these hallucinations will last for a long time. For newcomers, if the soul body is pure, it will not use this illusion, so it will be able to see this courtyard. As long as it stays here at night, it will become its meal. As for those whose soul bodies are not pure enough, the abyss wanderers will be disgusted and will prevent them from entering the courtyard. The best way is to make people hallucinate and not see the existence of this courtyard. Now it can be explained clearly why people who live in this yard have accidents at night. This is because the abyssal worms are afraid of the sun and only active at night. They never come out when there is sunlight. Hence, abyssal worms are creatures that actually live in the darkness. In Zhongtian, people with dark minds are also described as abyssal worms. Ji Zhong's expression was very ugly. This abyssal worm should be more than 10,000 years old. Yan Xiangluo's heart sank. Even a strong person like her master in the 9 heavens had no good solution to the abyssal worms. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 925. Abyssal worms can be vaporized at any time, and no matter how strong you are, you cannot attack them. Therefore, even if the abyssal worms have little combat power, they are still unable to be dealt with by these powerful men. "What should I do?" Yan Xianglou asked. "They have been targeted by the abyssal worms, and as soon as they go out, they will be sucked away by the abyssal worms. Although the abyssal worm will return to the ground at dawn tomorrow, it is still a threat as long as it is still there. Even if Yunchangtian is destroyed, the abyss wanderers will be fine. If they wander to the 9 UN continent, they will kill many people, and they will all be people of excellent moral character." Ji Zhong said, "Don't worry, I'll think about it." At this moment, the black dumpling flew next to the two of them, rolling its soft, dark body anxiously towards Yan Xianglou. Although Haituanzi has spiritual intelligence, he has not yet reached the strength to communicate with Yan Xianglou through spiritual consciousness. Yan Xianglou looked at Haituanzi in confusion. Ji Zhong narrowed his eyes and glanced at the abyss-wandering insects outside the space. "Hey Tuanzi, who had always been quiet, was so anxious. Yan Xiangloo knew that something must have aroused his interest. The only thing that happened now was that there was an abyssal worm outside. Haitwenzi is interested in the abyssal insects, Yan Xiangloo and Ji Zhozhong said almost in unison. As soon as their words came out, the black dumpling suddenly became quiet and came to Yan Xiangloo. The black dumpling's body kept swaying back and forth, as if he was nodding. Yan Xiangloo smiled, "We guessed it right." Haitwenzi swayed back and forth more joyfully. Yan Xiangloo said, "Although the thing outside does not have a very strong attack power, it can the life force. Are you sure you can subdue it?" Black dumpling swayed back and forth a few more times. Seeing this, Yan Xiangloo said, "If you are the opponent of the abyss wandering insect, you will fall into my palm if you want to get out." The black dumpling immediately fell into her palm. Upon seeing this, Yan Xiangloo sent Haitwenzi away as soon as she saw it. She really wanted to see why Haitwenzi was so interested in the abyssal worms. How does it deal with abyssal worms? Haitwenzi sensed it as soon as he stepped out of the abyss. His body was as smooth as if he had seen something terrible, and he quickly ran towards the crack in the door to escape. Seeing that the abyss worm was about to escape, Black Tuanzi rushed over very quickly. Just when the abyss worm reached the crack of the door, Black Tuanzi blocked its way, without giving the abyss worm a chance to resist, and directly drove the abyss worm to the door. The insect is wrapped in its soft body. All this happened in an instant. Not to mention that the abyss wandering insects did not react, even Yan Xiangloo and Ji Zhozhong were shocked. The two of them watched the black dumpling rolling around in mid-air in stunned silence. They could even clearly see that the abyssal worms were struggling inside the black dumpling's body, and the black dumpling's body was bulging here and there. They were all worried about Black Tuanzi. After all, they had never heard of any rivals from the abyss worms. After a while, Haitwenzi finally regained his composure. Yan Xiangloo looked at Ji Zhozhong and said helplessly, "Is it that simple to solve it?" Ji Zhozhong was also surprised and nodded, "Don't Luo know what Haitwenzi is now?" Yan Xiangloo shook her head, "I don't know, until now I can't communicate with Haitwenzi with my consciousness. Haitwenzi likes it some poisons, and now I know that it likes abyss wandering insects. When I go to Zhozongtian, I will take it to the abyss and let it have a hearty meal. It kills two birds with one stone, and it can be regarded as getting rid of a big evil for Zhozongtian. You must know that the vast abyss of Zhozongtian has become a forbidden place because of the existence of abyssal worms, and no one dares to go there." Ji Zhozhong twitched the corner of his mouth. He discovered that the biggest change in this life was that he could attract some strange spiritual creatures. This black dumpling was what surprised them the most. The black dumpling was dug out under the big tree in Musui City. It was just like this when it was dug out. It is still like this now. It has not changed at all. It feels like its intelligence has become stronger. Let's go out, Ji Zhozhong said. The abyss wanderers have been eliminated by Black Tuanzi, and there is no danger here. There is no need for them to stay in Pangu space anymore. The two of them appeared in the room. Haitwenzi immediately ran towards Yan Xiangloo. Yan Xiangloo poked Haitwenzi's soft body with her fingers, "Is everything really okay?" Haitwenzi immediately shook it back and forth a few times. It was obvious that his intelligence had improved, and he knew that shaking back and forth meant yes. Yan Xiangloo is curious about what black dumpling is and how its body is formed. "Last time, I absorbed so much poisonous gas that my body was stretched so big, so there was no problem. The abyss wandering insects that are causing headaches to the powerful and powerful people in the 9 heavens are now digested so easily here." No matter how curious Yan Xiangloo was, she couldn't split the black dumplings to see, and she was reluctant to split them. It was obvious that the black dumplings had a very special function. She was really curious as to whether there was anything special that Haitwenzi liked. "Send Haitwenzi into the Pangu space and let it digest the power of the abyssal worm." After all, this one is an abyssal worm that is over 10,000 years old and has devoured the life force of many people. After solving the hidden danger in the yard, the two of them continued practicing without any distractions. What they didn't know was that when night fell, everyone who knew they lived in this courtyard kept checking around their yard with their spiritual consciousness. They didn't dare to directly enter the courtyard with their spiritual consciousness, but they were very curious. The night passed like this. When Yan Xiangloo and Ji Zhozhong came out of the yard in high spirits, there were already many listless people standing outside. I was relieved to see the two people coming out, but also more curious. I'm relieved because the two of them are still alive, and there's no need to choose another one to be the leader. What I'm curious about is how they got here that night. Did you encounter anything? You must know that they are the only people who can see this yard when they first arrive and live in it. They are the only ones who came out alive. Mr. Chen couldn't help but asked, "Didn't anything happen to you last night?" Ji Zhozhong was speechless. Yan Xiangloo shrugged and said, "No, we have been practicing all night. Not to mention that the spiritual energy here is really strong." Jing Kunpeng looked at the two people and raised the corners of his lips. These two people were indeed not simple people. He also saw this courtyard when he first arrived, but because he had a strong sense of danger, although he saw it, he disliked this courtyard, so he chose another courtyard. Later he found out that there was indeed something wrong with this yard, but because of his instinctive repulsion, he never went near it. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 926. Jing Kunpeng had no intention of checking it out of curiosity. Because he knows very well that curiosity can kill people. Now Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangloo not only lived in it for one night, but they were also intact. Jing Kunpeng didn't believe that nothing happened inside, but he did not feel any movement in the yard last night, but for a moment he felt that no one was in the house in the yard, which he could still definitely. This further proves that these two are not ordinary people. Although Mr. Chen also doubted what Yan Xiangloo said, it was difficult to ask further. The two of them were obviously unwilling to talk. The people on the other side are already here, let's go over there. Mr. Chen looked at the yard behind them and then at the two of them before saying, "No matter what, it's a good thing that the two of them are okay." Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangloo happily followed the others and walked forward. They were walking in the same direction they came here. Maybe it was because they couldn't leave here, so they just stopped outside the residential area. There were also many people standing opposite, looking at them with disdain. Where to set up the formation? Mr. Chen took a step forward and asked the other party, an old man standing in the middle. The tone was very cold and the words were very direct. It was obvious that the relationship between the two parties was not so good that even small talk was not necessary. The old man was holding a formation disc in his hand. When Yan Xiangloo and Ji Zhozhong saw the formation disc, they knew that it belonged to the Zhozhong genius. You will choose where to set up the formation plate. Have you chosen the two people who will be the eyes of the formation? Asked the old man holding the formation plate. Chen Liadao said, "It's decided, it's the two of them." Mr. Chen pointed at Ji Zhozhong and Ruan Xiangloo. The old man holding the formation plate looked at the two of them and frowned. He looked unfamiliar. They were still so young, but he thought that people from outside could not come in. Maybe it was because he hadn't seen them for a long time. Maybe he was young because I had nothing else to do, so I just studied how to maintain a youthful appearance, so I didn't pay too much attention to it. Anyway, these two people will die next. He waved the formation disc in his hand and said to Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangloo, "The selected place on the formation disc will be suspended. You can just walk over and stand under the formation disc. Remember, from the beginning to the end. Don't make any moves, let alone use any force. You should know that this is something arranged by the people above. If you mess up, we won't get any good results. Zhizhong and Yan Xianglou nodded, indicating that they understood. They have seen it and found that the lifespan of the people coming from the other side has exceeded the maximum lifespan of the 9th level of the Xuanhuan continent. It seems that in the entire Yunchangtian, only Jin Kunpeng's age has not exceeded the standard. Although the old man holding the array plate looked calm on the surface, the arrogance in his eyes could not be concealed. Mr. Chen and the others' hearts sank. The main reason why they agreed to set up the formation together was that they couldn't refuse. This was the territory of the people above them, and they would get the final say. Another reason is that I came here because I wanted to get a spot that would allow me to go to the 9th heaven. But the people on the other side only promised verbally. If they regretted it, what could they do? After all, they couldn't even get out. At this time, they were all worried that even though they had done their best, they still failed. The old man holding the formation disc looked at them disdainfully, raised his hand and flew out. The formation disc rotated in mid-air and slowly flew forward. Everyone followed behind the formation disc. In the end, the array disc actually floated directly above the courtyard where Zhizhong and Yan Xianglou lived. The two looked at each other and immediately understood that the abyssal worms should have been placed here specially by the people who built the small world. The real purpose was probably to wait for this day. In other words, the only purpose of placing the abyssal wandering insects here is to deal with Zhizhong. Yan Xianglou sent a message to Zhizhong, they should have put the abyssal worms here intentionally. I'm curious, how did they bring out the abyssal worms and put them here? Zhizhong Fen narrowed his eyes, there is only one possibility, and that is that they used a special method to catch the abyssal insects before they were vaporized and put them here. Yan Xiang understood clearly, the mind is indeed vicious, but it is also not simple. Be able to think of the last step when building the small world at the beginning. It can be said that the other party has put a lot of thought into it. He looked at Zhizhong with a smile and said, this also shows that you are so powerful that they are afraid of you to the point where they don't feel at ease no matter how you plan. Luoluo, are you complimenting me? I like it very much. Zhizhong looked down at Yang Xianglou and said. The two looked at each other as if no one was watching. Although they did not speak, anyone with long eyes knew that they were communicating through sound transmission. Seeing the smiles on the faces of the two people, they were very puzzled. The possibility of surviving in the battle was extremely slim, so why were they still so happy? Jin Kunpeng curled up his lips as he watched the interaction between the young couple. These idiots really thought they were easy to bully when they first arrived. It was not certain who would bully whom in the end. The old man holding the formation plate saw the place selected by the formation plate and raised his hand. The powerful spiritual power instantly destroyed the small courtyard where they stayed last night. Yan Xianglou looked at Zhizhong aggrievedly, the yard where we live has been destroyed. Where will we stay tonight? Zhizhong knew that she was being playful and echoed, aren't there other unused yards? Let's choose another one. As soon as he finished speaking, there were several cold snorts. Although he did not speak, the meaning was actually clear to everyone. This is where you want to live tonight even when you are about to die. If you think too much, you will no longer have the chance to live in any courtyard. The old man holding the formation plate glanced at the two of them and said, the formation will begin soon. You two should stand under the formation plate first. Zhizhong and Yan Xianglou walked neatly to the formation and stood still without any rebuttal. As soon as the two people stood under the Jianpan, the array immediately emitted a ray of light that enveloped the two of them. The old man holding the formation board said to the people on both sides, every step when setting up the formation must not be wrong. Everyone must follow my arrangements. Now is not the time for us to compete with each other for our own interests. Only when our interests are firmly established can we have success qualify to fight for it. The meaning of this sentence is to let both parties calm down and stop plotting against each other. Now they must work together to complete the formation and implement the benefits given above. Only then will they be qualified to compete for this benefit. Everyone present naturally understood that Mr. Chen was the first to say that he would comply with the arrangement. The old man holding the array plate was waiting for Mr. Chen's words. He immediately began to arrange the people, dividing everyone into 49 teams, each team standing in a different position. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 927. Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhozhong counted the total number of people in Yunchangtian. There were not as many people on the other side as there were on the other side. The total number of people on both sides was 116. Among so many people, only Jin Kunpeng's age did not exceed the lifespan limit of Zhuyuan continent. Zhuzhong, this formation should have been modified. We are not formation eyes, but sacrifices. Yan Xiangluo sent a message to Ji Zhuzhong. Yan Xiangluo found that since she recovered the memory of her previous life, her understanding of formations had become stronger. To be precise, she had surpassed her previous attainments in formations. Ji Zhozhong said, "It doesn't matter. No matter how much you change the foundation, it won't change. Even if the formation is strong, it won't be much stronger. No one in this world has the strength to let the two of us be sacrificed. Just leave this matter to me." Yan Xiangluo nodded. Their main control in setting up the formation is the people above. As soon as the formation starts, I will check who the other party is. You should deal with it carefully. Remember, under any circumstances, the best thing is to protect yourself first. The main thing is that other things can only be solved if we are alive. Ji Zhozhong knew that she was worried about him. "Don't worry, I won't risk my life." After finishing the words, he warned again, "You also have to be careful. It doesn't matter if you can't find it. We will find a way to find it after we go back." Yan Xiangluo smiled, "You are underestimating my ability. I can bring back the crystal ball. If it is other abilities, I can't guarantee that I will win. But in terms of the power of controlling souls, I have been able to bring back the crystal ball in my past life. Never served anyone. At that time, Master Fengyuan Saint would lament her demonic talent and strength as a heavenly master every day." Ji Zhozhong took her hand and squeezed it. "Then you have to be careful. It's never wrong to be cautious." "Yes," Yan Xiangluo agreed happily. Confidence does not mean arrogance, and she will not get carried away. While the two were talking, the formation had already begun, and 49 teams were surrounding them in a circle. The people in the circle closest to them used their strongest spiritual power together. After all, they are all strong men who have reached the 9th level of transcending tribulation. Even if they no longer practice diligently here for so many years, their cultivation will not decline. You can imagine how powerful the power that burst out together is. Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhozhong were immediately enveloped by their power. Although it would not hurt them, their figures had already disappeared into the formation, and other people outside could not see them. Yan Xiangluo blinked at Ji Zhozhong, who understood that she was about to start, and nodded to her, signaling her to go ahead and leave the rest to him. Yan Xiangluo immediately used the power of soul control, closed her eyes and remained motionless. At this time, her soul body left her body. This was the top skill among the hollow soul skills she had learned. This was also the first time she used it. Fortunately, the first time he left the body went smoothly. The soul body had already left the body, and Yan Xiangluo used the passage connecting the formation plate to the 9 heavens to go straight to the sky. Soon, she passed through the clouds and appeared on a palace shrouded in mist. At this time, on an altar surrounded by white jade railings in front of the palace, 6 men in snow-white brocade robes were exerting their power on a crystal ball as big as a basin. Under the crystal ball was a well. This well is not used for fetching water, but a place connected to the small world of the clouds and the sky. Two of these 6 people were known to Yan Xiangluo. One of them was a person she trusted in her previous life, and the other was Ji Zhong's mortal enemy and his half-brother with a blood relationship in his previous life. There is a long sword suspended on the crystal ball where the 6 people cast their magic. Yan Xiangluo has also seen this long sword. When she and Ji Zhong first met, Ji Zhong used this long sword. Seeing Ji Zhong's younger brother who was related by blood, and seeing the weapons that Ji Zhong had used in his previous life, Yan Xiangluo understood that Ji Zhong did not have the destiny of destiny just in this life, but had it in the previous life. Such powerful luck. It's just that because of their relationship in the past and present life, she couldn't see his fate. What Yan Xiangluo doesn't understand is that since Ji Zhong was the one with destiny in his previous life, why did he suffer setbacks in everything and die young in the end? As a heavenly master, she knew very well that the only possibility was that Ji Zhong was known to have destiny as soon as he was born, and then someone suppressed his destiny. It's very possible that they wanted to seize Ji Zhong's destiny in the last life, but unfortunately they never succeeded. So how did they know where Ji Zhong was reincarnated? And why is it so certain that the reincarnated Ji Zhong will still have destiny? One more thing, before Ji Zhong was reborn, people with destiny appeared in the Ji family in Xuanhuan continent for several generations. Why didn't they seize destiny at that time? With a lot of doubts in her heart, Yan Xiangluo glanced at the palace behind her. This was a place she had never touched in her previous life. Where was it? Yan Xiangluo did not act in a hurry, and her soul body floated towards the palace. Piao walked through the gate and saw a dozen people busy inside, as if they were cleaning up the palace. Both men and women wear lavender robes or skirts. Yan Xiangluo looked around, and finally her eyes fell on an amethyst ball the size of a plate inlaid on the throne at the top. Looking at the entire palace, most of them are based on purple. It is obvious that the owner of the palace likes purple. A person suddenly popped up in Yan Xiangluo's mind. Among the powerful and powerful people in the 9 heavens, there was only one person who liked purple to the point of madness, and that was Saint Xiun. It is said that this purple crystal ball was given to her by the only Taoist companion of Saint Xiun. It is said that the relationship between the two was as strong as heaven and earth. The Taoist companion of Saint Xiun was the most beautiful man in the 9 heavens at that time. The two knew each other when they were young. They grew up together as childhood sweethearts, and their talents are equally strong. They are both golden lotus pedestals. It can be said that they are two from strength to appearance to talent, they are a perfect match. But for some unknown reason, they did not become a Taoist couple until they were nearly 1,000 years old, and in the 3rd year after they became a Taoist couple, the Taoist couple of Saint Xiun suddenly died. No one knows why, but from that time on, Sage Xiun rarely left the Xiun palace where they lived when they became a Taoist couple. In her last life, she heard about the legend of Sage Xiun. Yan Xiangluo was deeply moved by the tragedy that their lovers finally got married but could not stay together till old age. She also admired Sage Xiun for his undying loyalty to his relationship. She never thought that Saint Xiun could do such a cruel and bottomless thing. After all, this is the territory of Sage Xiun. The 6 people would not dare to do anything here without her permission. How did Ji Zhong offend Sage Xiun? Yan Xiangluo walked through Xiun Palace, but did not feel the breath of Saint Xiun. Could it be that Saint Xiun is already gone? Has this place changed hands? The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 928. To be honest, Yan Xiangluo really didn't want the Saint Xiun who was loyal to love in her previous life to be such a despicable, dirty, and cruel person. At this moment, one of the busy people in the palace said, "Hurry up, Saint Xiun will be back soon. There can be no mistakes, otherwise you will know the consequences." This sentence made everyone working faster and more careful. At the same time, it also broke the last expectation in Yan Xiangluo's heart. Sage Xiun did still live here. Yan Xianglou did not wait for Saint Xiun to come back. She still had things to do, and now she had no time to worry about why Saint Xiun took action against Jijishong. She floated out of the palace and came to the side of the 6 people. She looked at the speed of their formation and saw that half of it was already completed. Because it is very difficult to set up formations across time and space, and the requirements for strength are also very high. Although there are people below to listen to their orders, it is not easy to set up a fortune formation. The 6 of them include the Formation Master, the Xuanhuan Master, the Heavenly Master, and the other 3 are responsible for inputting spiritual energy. In this way, a great luck formation can be completed. The front half of the formation is easier to set up. The most important thing is the second half. That is the most critical part of the luck formation. The effect depends on the strength of the final formation. None of the 6 people looked very relaxed. Yan Xianglou floated to them and took a closer look at their cultivation levels. They all had the cultivation level of the Great Sage, but they had just broken through to the level of the Great Sage. She glanced at the Celestial Master. His strength was incomparable to hers, but his Celestial Master level was also ranked among the best in the 9 heavens. It seemed that Saint Xiun had put a lot of thought into inviting such a Celestial Master. The reward is quite a lot. Looking at the 2 people she knew, Yan Xianglou curled her lips. Tens of thousands of years had passed, and they had just broken through to the cultivation level of the Great Sage. Their talents were really extraordinary. Of course, the difference she is talking about refers to the comparison of talent between people who have reached the level of a Great Sage. She only reached the level of a Great Sage at this age and when she was a teenager. Yan Xianglou mobilized her soul-controlling power and added her soul-controlling power to the power input by each of them. There are many ways to use the power of soul control. The method that Yan Xianglou used this time was also the first time. She was not targeting the formation below, but the 6 people setting up the formation. As soon as the formation is activated, the soul-controlling power she inputs will counter-attack and directly enter their consciousness. However, they will not notice it. By doing this, Yan Xianglou is just leaving an opportunity to deal with them in the future. Another point is that these soul-controlling powers will scatter their luck little by little. This does not violate the rules of conduct of the Celestial Master, and she did not directly send the power of soul control into their bodies. This was a counterattack, and they absorbed the power of soul control themselves. Originally, the fortunes of these 6 people were pretty good. Although there were disasters and disasters, they could be resolved. I don't know for sure what they will do in the future. There is no way. Now she is in the state of soul body, and her cultivation level is not as high as that of the 6 people. Unlike before, when she used a huge white crystal ball to attack that person, she was competing for the power of controlling the soul. Therefore, we can only take some small actions first to prepare for the future. When they return to the 9 heavens, it will be time to really deal with them. Yan Xianglou controlled the power of soul control and input it for about a quarter of an hour. She stopped when she felt it was enough. She was too vigilant because she was a great sage. At this time, the sound of everyone paying homage came from the palace behind him. Greetings to Saint Xiun. Sage Xiun is back. Although Yan Xianglou had heard of Saint Xiun in her previous life, she had never seen her. Now that she knew that she was one of the people behind the plot against Jijishong, she still had some time, so she would not miss the opportunity to meet her. The fragrance immediately drifted back to the entrance of the palace, just in time to see Saint Xiun walking to the seat above. As expected, I really like purple. Both the jewelry and the clothes on my body are purple, and the combination of dark and light colors is perfect. Especially, there is a lavender bracelet on her hand. From a distance, it is difficult to tell what material it is made of, but she can feel the strong spiritual energy coming from it. It can be seen that this lavender bracelet must be a spiritual object. Sage Xiun sat down on the seat above, glanced at the people below and asked, "Are they not done yet? It should be finished soon." "Disciple, let's go over and take a look." The person who replied was a man. After saying this, he immediately went out to see how long it would take for the 6 people to finish. Yan Xiangluo turned sideways and the man walked past her. She saw the reluctant expression on the man's face. It seems that Sage Xiun is not so respected in the minds of his disciples. Yan Xiangluo turned her head and looked at the Saint Xiun who was sitting there. He had an extremely beautiful appearance. Although he was over 10,000 years old, he only looked like he was in his 20s. The age of a monk is fixed when he breaks through to the divine level. In both previous and present lives, Yan Xiangluo broke through to the divine level in her teens. If she had not encountered any accidents in her previous life, she would be over 10,000 years old now, but her appearance will still look like a teenager. Sage Xiun looks like she is in her 20s, which means that she broke through to the divine level in her 20s. It can be considered a very talented person. "Are you ready below?" Saint Xiun asked again. Yan Xiangluo was puzzled as to where Saint Xiun was referring to. Does Xiun Palace also have an underground palace? Or does it refer to the place below where ordinary people live? Reply to the saint, "Everything is ready. As long as the formation is activated, we can start." A disciple stood up and saluted first before replying. Yan Xiangluo's eyes changed. The person behind Jizhou's Hong's scheme turned out to be Saint Xiun. What was she going to do? In other words, who needs Jizhou's Hong's destiny? At this moment, the person who went out to check came back and said, "Sage, the formation is nearing completion and will be completed soon." After hearing this, Yan Xiangluo knew that she could no longer stay here. She had to return below before the formation was completed. Although I really want to know what Saint Xiun is going to spend so much effort to seize Jizhou's Hong's destiny, he can't risk his life. At least now we know that Saint Xiun is the person behind it. Apart from the 6 people outside and Saint Xiun, if anyone else is involved, Yan Xiangluo cannot continue to investigate now. Yan Xiangluo immediately returned to the 6 people, turned to look at Xiun Palace, jumped into the well, followed the connection with Yun Shangtian, and quickly returned to her body. Jizhou's Hong knew she was back as soon as her body moved. "Luoluo, the formation will be completed soon, we must leave Yun Shangtian immediately," Jizhou's Hong said quickly. "What should I do with the formation?" Yan Xiangluo asked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 929. Jizhou's Hong said, "I have arranged the formation. Give me your hand and I will take you away." Hearing this, Yan Xiangluo handed her hand to Jizhou's Hong without any hesitation. Jizhou's Hong held her hand and a light enveloped the two of them, and then their figures disappeared into the formation. There was no change in the formation, nor did it alarm the people in Yunshangtian and Zhozongtian. Yan Xiangluo saw a flash of white light, and she and Jizhou's Hong appeared at the place where they entered Yunshangtian. "When did you do that?" Yan Xiangluo and Jizhou's Hong came in together. How come she didn't notice that Jizhou's Hong had fixed his exit position when he came in? Jizhou's Hong held a teleportation disc in his hand, and one of them teleported to the place where they came in. This was also the main reason why they were able to come out smoothly. After all, there are obstacles where they go, and they cannot leave there without the permission of the people of the 9 heavens. When they first came in, they didn't know this. Jizhou's Hong had already made arrangements. As expected, he took one step at a time and looked at the next step. When I came in, I set the teleportation point here. At that time, I considered that in case of danger, we could leave Yunshangtian as quickly as possible. I didn't expect that there would be obstacles there. This decision was made by mistake. It's been a big help to us. Otherwise they can only find a chance to leave Xianxia at the moment when the formation is activated and Xianxia is destroyed. That would be very dangerous. Yan Xianglao looked at him with a smile. Awesome. Ji Zhozhong also smiled. At this moment, the entire small world of Yunchangtian shook. Ji Zhozhong's eyes narrowed. The formation has been activated, let's leave quickly. While speaking, he raised his hand to break the barrier of the small world. At this time, the whole cloud and sky were shaking. The movement he made to break the barrier of the small world was already insignificant. After breaking a hole, the two of them immediately went out. Just after the two people left, the place they were standing shook violently, and a wave of power dispersed like a wave, and then it returned to calm. The two of them stood on the steps going down the mountain. Another wave came from behind them. When they looked back, they saw Jing Kunpeng appearing in a somewhat embarrassed manner at the entrance of Yunchangtian, but it had completely disappeared. Jing Kunpeng was stunned when he saw the two of them, and then laughed, I knew you had come out a long time ago. Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xianglao were not surprised that Jing Kunpeng could come out. The barrier that prevented them from coming out would disappear the moment the formation was activated. With his strength and brains, he could come out as long as he was fast enough. Jing Kunpeng stood up from the ground. He knew that he was in a bit of a mess, but he didn't clean himself up. Thank you very much. Jing Kunpeng solemnly thanked the two of them. Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xianglao naturally knew what he was thanking for, and they were grateful for the advice Ji Zhozhong gave him in his words that day. Although Ji Zhozhong didn't say it clearly, he was a smart man, and Ji Zhozhong had already said that if there was news to tell him when he went out, didn't this tell him clearly that he could leave Yunchangtian? As for how to leave, it depends on how smart Jing Kunpeng is. After all, they met by chance and would not talk about everything based on the good impression they had at the first meeting. Fortunately, Jing Kunpeng is indeed smart enough and strong enough. I don't mention anything, you can still find opportunities, Ji Zhozhong said. These words are also true. With Jing Kunpeng's wisdom, as long as Yunchangtian is destroyed, he will immediately try his best to risk leaving, and he should be able to survive successfully. That's different. Can I know your true identity now? Jing Kunpeng asked. He knew very well that with Ji Zhozhong's advice, he had made preparations in advance, but now he just looked a little embarrassed. Without Ji Zhozhong's advice, although he could have come out alive, he might not have been intact. The injuries suffered by many people with peak cultivation levels of 9th level are definitely not minor injuries. It is not known whether they can be recovered. In serious cases, it may even affect his cultivation level and future cultivation. Most importantly, although the two were young, their strength shocked him. Yunchangtian was destroyed, and he felt it personally. The frightened and desperate expressions of those people at the moment of destruction were imprinted in his heart. Jing Kunpeng knew very well that the couple must have done something. What they have the strength to do without being discovered by the people above, this strength is beyond his ability to guess. Such a person must have a way to get to the 9th heaven. Jing Kunpeng made a decision in his heart and decided to follow them. Ji Zhozhong introduced her simply, Ji Zhozhong, my wife Yuan Xianglao. When he finished speaking, he sensed that the people from Yun's Hang Palace had arrived here, and immediately said, it's easy for you to find us. Just go out and inquire and we will find out. The people from Yun's Hang Palace are here and we are leaving. As soon as he finished speaking, Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xianglao disappeared. Jing Kunpeng was stunned for a moment and left quickly. He believed Ji Zhozhong's words. It would be strange if people like them had no reputation in Zhuyan continent. Leave here and ask around, then go find them. Jing Kunpeng didn't know yet at this time. He didn't even need to ask. He could hear news about them everywhere he went. Just after Jing Kunpeng left, the master of Yun's Hang Palace came with people and carefully inspected the entrance of Yunchangtian. He was horrified to find that the entrance had disappeared. He immediately took out a special sound transmission stone that was used to communicate with the heavenly beings in the clouds. When he input spiritual energy into the sound transmission stone, there was no movement at all. There was only one possibility, that the other party's sound transmission stone had been destroyed. The people in Xianxia will never cut off contact with him. There is only one possibility, that something happened in Xianxia, and it is a big deal. Otherwise the entrance would not have disappeared. The main cultivation level of Xuanhuan Palace has never reached the peak of the 9th level of transcending tribulation, so he is not qualified to go to Xianxia. He still thinks that one day he can go to Xianxia. Now that the entrance has disappeared and the contact has been interrupted, there is no hope at all. There is none left. He didn't know if he would be able to contact the people in Xianxia in the future, and now he was panicking. At this time, Ji Zhizhong and Yan Xiangluo, who had already left in Jin Kunpeng's eyes, stood not far away and looked at the palace masters of Xuanhuan Palace. They used the invisibility mysterious pattern. The people in Xuanhuan Palace are not all Xianxian's lackeys. They both know this very well. At this time, Xianxia should have been completely destroyed. After solving Xianxia, they must also solve Xuanhuan Palace. They will leave Zhuyuan continent after the year. They do not want to leave any hidden dangers that endanger the people in Zhuyuan city. If something happens in Xianxia, the palace master of Xuanhuan Palace will definitely come to check. This is a good opportunity for them to get rid of the palace master of Xuanhuan Palace. Yan Xiangluo's eyes were filled with eagerness to try, 3 for 1 person. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 930. Ji Zhizhong knew that what Yan Xiangluo said was that each of them faced 3 people. The master of Xuanhuan Palace and the people he brought made a total of 6 people. They were all in the early to middle stage of transcending tribulation. Yun, the master of the upper palace, has the highest level of cultivation and is in the middle stage of transcending tribulation. One of the other 5 people is about to reach the middle stage of transcending tribulation, and the other 4 are in the early stage of transcending tribulation. Ji Zhizhong and Yan Xiangluo are both at the 9th level of transcending tribulation. There is no problem at all with 1 against 3. The combined strength of the 3 of them can be used as a sparring match. Okay, let's set up a trap first and then deal with them, Ji Zhizhong said. Although the other people in Xuanhuan Palace are not the lackeys of Xuanhuan Palace, they all have to obey the orders of the master of Xuanhuan Palace. No matter how strong their cultivation is, they will not be the opponent of the entire Xuanhuan Palace people. Together, Yan Xiangluo said without hesitation. The master of Xuanhuan Palace will immediately return to Xuanhuan Palace if he can't find anything. They must first trap the 6 of them here and separate the other Xuanhuan Palace residents, and then they can ensure nothing goes wrong. Both of them are very accomplished in formations, and setting up a trap is extremely simple for both of them. The 2 separated and quickly passed by the 6 people. By the time the palace master of Xuanhuan Palace noticed something was wrong, the trap formation had been set up. The main reason is that they are invisible and have higher cultivation than them, so it is naturally difficult for them to detect them. Ji Zhizhong and Yan Xiangluo now broke away from the invisibility mysterious patterns on their bodies and appeared in front of the 6 people. It would be pointless to fight them while invisible. Why are you here? The palace master of Xuanhuan Palace was shocked. Although he didn't know that Xianxia had set up a fortune formation to plot Ji Zhizhong, he received an order to take people to Zhuyuan city to kill Ji Zhizhong and Yu Xiangluo tonight, so he didn't have to worry. This trip would be inevitable, very smooth. He was worried at first. Ji Zhizhong and Yan Xiangluo were both at the 9th level of transcending tribulation. The chances of them succeeding in their assassination were not very high. He didn't trust Xuanhuan Tianren's words that much. In addition, the time has not yet come, so he has not left Xuanhuan Palace, but something happened to Xianxia, and he actually saw the person he wanted to kill. Ji Zhizhong glanced at him, We just came back from Yunchangtian. The master of Yun's Hang Palace was horrified. He did not doubt Zhizhou Hong's words at all, because their current location was the only entrance to Yunchangtian. Besides, there was no need for Zhizhou Hong to lie to him. What happened in the sky above Yun's Hang? The master of Yun's Hang Palace asked despite the fear in his heart. Destroy Zhizhou Hong told Yun Shangtian, the master of Yun's Hang Palace, the result with two simple words. How is that possible? The palace master of Yun's Hang Palace said in disbelief. Yun Shangtian's status in his heart was so high that it could be destroyed. Besides, he didn't want Yun Shangtian to be destroyed. If Yun Shangtian was destroyed, wouldn't he have been used as a horse and cattle by the people of Yun Shangtian for so many years? Even if he reaches the 9th level of transcending tribulation, he will not be able to go to the 9th heaven. They reap the consequences. Now it's your turn, Yan Xiongluo said in a brisk tone. When Yan Xiongluo said these words, the palace master of Yun's Hang Palace understood that Zhizhou Hong and Yan Xiongluo were very aware of their relationship with Yun Shangtian. Although your cultivation level is higher than ours, have you forgotten where this place is? The master of Yun's Hang Palace looked at the two of them warily, and at the same time sent a signal to summon the people of Yun's Hang Palace. Yan Xiongluo and Zhizhou Hong did not stop him from sending the signal. Yan Xiongluo looked at the signal he sent to heaven and smiled. It's too late. The palace master of Yun's Hang Palace was originally relieved that he had successfully sent out the signal, but when he heard that Yan Xiongluo said it was too late, he suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. It stands to reason that after his signal was sent, someone would come to their location immediately, but a while passed and no one came. What have you done? The palace master of Yun's Hang Palace looked at the two of them in shock. Yan Xiongluo shrugged, it's just a simple trap. You didn't notice it? The palace master of Yun's Hang Palace did not believe it and immediately used his spiritual sense to check the surroundings. Only then did he realize that his spiritual sense could only detect within 10 meters around them. I suddenly thought that the fluctuation I just felt was the movement caused by their formation. Actually, he didn't know that Zhizhou Hong deliberately made the noise just to let him know. The misfortune of the palace master of Yun's Hang Palace is getting stronger and stronger. How can the trapped formation have such a powerful hindrance? Yan Xiongluo pointed at the three of them, then rubbed her hands and said eagerly, the opponent of the three of you is me. She chose the person who was about to reach the middle stage of transcending the tribulation and the other two people who were in the early stage of transcending the tribulation as opponents. The palace master of Yun's Hang Palace and Liang Wei were left to Zhizhou Hong. After breaking through to the 9th level of transcending tribulation, they did not get a good fighting chance in the first training place. Although the cultivation levels of the 6 people in front of them were not as high as the two of them, 3 against 1, what they faced if it's life or death, I will definitely try my best without reservation. What a great opportunity to practice my skills. Zhizhou Hong looked at the man who was gearing up and getting ready to have with fondness, and finally looked like he had in his previous life. She was like this when they first met in the last life. Perhaps it was because she had no one to support her and she was used to having to rely on herself for everything. Her hard work at that time was exactly the same as now. Later on, when her temper stabilized, her worries began to increase, and I never saw her so lively again. Yun's Hang Palace master's heart sank when he saw the two of them discussing who to fight with at the training ground. Although he has not personally experienced the power of Zhizhou Hong, it goes without saying that the Ji family has the power of the human emperor's bloodline profound pattern, and there will be no opponent on the Zhuyuan continent. And he could see clearly that the two of them just wanted their lives, but after they came out of the first training place, their cultivation had reached the 9th level of transcending tribulation. Even if they fought 3 against 1, they had no hope of winning. Unless some special means are used, it is no longer a question of reputation, but a question of whether one can survive. Thinking of what the woman in black said to him the night before yesterday, and what she gave him, the palace master of Yun's Hang Palace's eyes darkened, and he had no choice but to cooperate with that woman. Yan Xianglou rushed over first, and Ji Zhong also faced off with the palace master of Yun's Hang Palace and two others. For a time, within a 10-meter radius centered on them, there were powerful spiritual powers, the remaining energy erupted from the collision with each other. The shaking formation barrier keeps rumbling. The people who came to Yun's Hang Palace after receiving the signal from the palace master were blocked by the formation. Those who knew the formation immediately discovered that there was a formation here and began to break the formation.